So guys, this is in the future from where you're about to roll back to and see. I've been doing a lot of body work and a little bit of painting off camera, and in the rest of this video, you're gonna find out what's going on. But in the meantime, stay tuned, check out what's going on with this body work. It's coming together really nicely. As you can see in the future, obviously, you can see our aero lip, our TurboX lip is on there properly on the front bumper. But lots of stuff going on in the rear quarter panels. Obviously, we need to address it. So check out this video, stay tuned, thanks for watching, let's get into it. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be doing a lot of paint correction on this 2008 Saab 9.3 TurboX. If you haven't been following the channel, this is one of the lowest mileage TurboXs in America. It has been completely neglected, and for the last month and a half or so, we have been dissecting all of the things that are wrong with it and rebuilding it step by step. In the last 2 episodes previous to this one, we did some paint work on the front fenders. Last episode, we did some wet sanding, and in this episode, we are going to do a full cut, compound, and polish to make sure that this paint is nice and blended and almost like brand new. So let's get into it, guys. All right, guys, so before we hop into this, I just want to let you know I bought this buffing pad kit off of Amazon. I'll link it below. It's got all of the different levels of polishing hardness and cutting hardness to the pads so you can properly execute this. To get started, we are going to use the orange. It is one of the hardest cutting surfacing pads that's in the kit, so let's get to it. Show you what we're dealing with here. I might need to do some more wet sanding in that area, but there it is, nice and cloudy and hazy, so let's get to it. A 3M cutting compound. Alright guys, so here's what this looks like after the one pass I just did. You're going to see that it needs a little bit more wet sanding in one area, but the good news is the fresh paint that I sprayed in the fender on the top here where there was a little rust, all of the paint blends nicely. Now all I need to do here, which you're going to see in the light, is some of the clear coat, some of the haziness of the clear coat is there. So we'll have to do some more wet sanding there, but the paint is starting to come out nicely. You can see that the cutting did a nice job, and we'll have to do it again. We're going to do another round of this. So keep at it here, guys. Alright guys, again you can see where I need to do some more wet sanding right over here, but the rest of the paint here and down here where we repainted actually looks really good. This is where I repainted. Okay, you can see that, it's stock. And then this is the original paint. Looks really good actually. The metallic matches up nicely for the most part, so that's good. Let's do some more wet sanding. Alright guys, I'm happy to announce that this fender, unlike the other side, came out really well. Check out this, check this out, nice and glossy. This blended right into the paint, no problems. I don't know what happened to the other side, because I did this side first. But yeah, this looks really good. This looks really good. Might hit a little bit more on the top here, and then this will need a polish, but before we polish it, we're gonna buff the rest of the front clip. This is before. I obviously washed the car once, but you can see all the swirls. I don't know if the camera picks it up. You can see all the swirls in this paint over here. So we're gonna wash this, and then we're going to go ahead and buff it. Making progress, guys. Alright guys, you really want to see what this did? Check it out. Do you see how there is all these swirls in the paint? You can see all the swirls and dirt in the paint. Okay. See it? Check out the side now that is complete. You can see how much cleaner, and we're not done yet. You can see how much cleaner that is. So, glossy, not so glossy. Not done yet, but just one touch, one pass made a huge difference over here, so that's really good. So I'm gonna continue on this side, and this is gonna probably be a 3-stage buff. We're doing a hard cut right now, then we'll do a soft cut, and then we'll do a polish. So lots to do, and this paint's gonna come up. This car's gonna look brand new when we're done, guys. Showroom perfection. Alright guys, we are far from over and done with the paint correction and polishing, but once over, you can see how nice and shiny this car has come out. I did the front bumper as you saw. Look at this. Look at those headlights. They're like brand new. It's amazing how this came out. Got a little stuff to wipe up there, but you can see the fender. All right, guys, next day here. This rear quarter panel is finally prepared for primer. So we're gonna get right into it, cover up all of the paint that doesn't need to be touched, and primer this up. Let's do it. I am happy to admit that it's gonna dry. We're gonna do a little wet sand again. Sandable primer. And it looks pretty good. The lines look good. It looks like it's smooth. The body work came out nice. This was the hardest part of this entire rust restore on the body panels, I should say, because of the condition that the driver's side was in. So let's let that dry. Let's let that dry, and in the meantime, I'm gonna hop in the front, and like I mentioned previously in this episode, the front lip is installed backwards, so we have to undo that and redo it. Let's do it. Now you can see that the lip is on there nicely. Most of the rivets took, some over here didn't. Over there, most of them took, so what I'll probably end up doing is I'll get some push clips, push rivets that I can push into those holes since they're a little bit bigger than they should be. So, back over here, you guys can see the panel looking pretty good. Got a little work to do here still. Give it a little wet sand. This might need a little bit more finish to it. This over here looks good. So now you can kind of see how much of a process these panels are. So we'll keep at it. Stay tuned here, guys. All right, guys. So we have our first layer of primer on this, and I can see some of the primer was running a little bit. So we're gonna do a little wet sand, smooth out the surfaces, and if need be, go ahead and do it again. All right, guys, so obviously I did some primer and I found some uneven surfaces, which is why it's good to do the primer. Before I do any painting on this, I'm going to let that dry, sand it when it dries, and then I'm gonna go to the other side and I'm actually gonna put some paint on there. And here's why I decided to do this, guys. If all else fails, I can still bring it to the shop and have them correct it. But here's the deal. When I did the front fenders, I originally said, depending on how these turn out, will depend on whether or not I paint the rear quarters. Remember when I said that, guys? If not, check out the videos below, or right here. Anyways, here's the cool thing. The paint that I got at the local Napa auto store actually matches very well with the factory paint. It's got the right amount of metallic to it. It's got the right amount of color to it. And obviously, when you look at the paint, you can't tell that there's a difference in the color. However, I did make a mistake on this other side, this other fender here. I have a little bit of weirdness going on with the overspray from the clear coat. So there's a little bit of a mark that I can see there. But on this side, I don't have that issue. So here's what I've learned. What I've learned is the paint, I'm gonna spray paint, do the painting, get the color black on there with the right metallic, and then I'm going to undo all of this paper. All of that paper that I'm using to block the paint, I'm gonna undo that, and then what I'm gonna end up doing is wet sanding this entire quarter panel. I'll probably give it like a buff and then a nice degrease to get all of the surface scratches out of the paint, since there's plenty of them here. And then what I'll do from there is when I go to do the clear coat, which really like shines nicely like the factory paint, it blends in perfectly, is I'll do the clear coat and kind of blend that into the factory clear coat. And then when I go to do the sanding, everything should just come together nicely. So that's the difference, and that's the lesson that I've learned doing the front fenders. So instead of me continuing to talk, which I think you guys get what I'm saying, if not, drop a comment below. I'm gonna go ahead and go and paint the first coat on the other fender and get moving with that process. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, guys, is do a little wax and grease remover. Alright guys, so first take did not go that smoothly. I have a little bit of fisheye going on, so I'm gonna let that dry and then properly address that. Most of it was good. You can see on the dog leg everything looks alright, but then on the top here and then in the back there we got some fish eyes. So This is what happens when you paint in your garage, I guess, huh? Alright, so I saved myself here with the fish eyes, guys. I actually ended up taking wax and grease remover and ended up just removing the wet paint. So we're gonna start all over again. Not so much fun. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways, be sure to subscribe, stay tuned. I'll be back. There's more. We gotta finish this. But check out that front lip. Pretty nice. The front end of this car is looking pretty good. Pretty happy. All right, guys, so there is a nice thick of primer on this area here. Remember, if you are new to the channel, that this is where we had a big rust hole that we had to fiberglass and make sure it was resecured. Body bondoed, all the rest. So here is the almost final product. Nice, thick, sandable primer on there on purpose because I'm gonna sand it back down and make it nice and level a little bit. Now we're gonna go to the other side. It is primed and ready to go. Primered and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and do a quick once over with the wet sander and then we'll get to paint. %60 of this paint did well. We have a little area right here that's got some fisheye, so I'm gonna let this paint dry. And tomorrow what I'll do is come back, sand it down, get some adhesive promoter on there, and repaint. The paint from here over worked, and then the paint from here down also worked well. Just this one area for some reason. So let's put this on hold. This is what we get. This is part of the game, you know, when you do this stuff. However, the paint matches nicely to the factory paint, just like in the front. It's the same paint. You know, it's got the perfect amount of color to it. So metallic. It's got the perfect amount of metallic. So let's get to the other side. Let's wet sand the other side now that it's dry, and we'll go ahead and prepare it for some paint. Alright guys, I'm going to leave you off here on this video. We finished the front fenders. For the most part, they're about 90% there. We got the front lip on there. And as you saw a little bit in this clip, we did some final paint on the fenders, or excuse me, on the quarter panels here. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, because we kind of jumped around a little bit, so I apologize for that. We had some paint run and some fish eyes from something. I don't know. I did use wax and grease remover like a million times and repainted it like 3 times and did all that off camera, and it still wasn't taking. So I'm going to get a couple quotes and in the next couple episodes give you guys an update of what's going on there. But as you can see, the body line here looks really good. I got maybe a couple little things here to address, but nothing crazy that I can't handle. So nice round wheel arch. Everything is lining up nicely with the body line, so I'm pleased with that. This was the worst side of everything in terms of rust, so I'm really pleased on how that came out. It looks really good, and I'm gonna bring it to the shop and have them just wrap it up for me since it's a little bit overwhelming at this point. So be sure to stay tuned, guys. We're gonna get this thing finalized with the paint. We still gotta get that drive shaft done. I did give an update in the last video of what was going on there, so if you haven't checked out that episode, check that out. But the TurboX, as you can see, is starting to come together. Once we get this addressed, we'll get the get tires put on, and of course, as you guys noted from the last episode, I had a little title issue, so I can't drive the car just quite yet, but I'm thinking in the next week or so we'll take care of that as well. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Thanks for your support. If you've been following the build, you guys have been awesome with the comments, so keep it up. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Pancis if you haven't already. And be sure to subscribe, like I said already, so you guys can be in tune with the final outcome of this beautiful 2008 Saab 9.3 TurboX, which was neglected for some reason. See you guys.